Hi, I'm Nick Palmachado.
And I'm Thomas Hunt.
And this is the Bad News Network. One of the things that I'm reminded of this week is that opinions, including the one I'm about to espouse, really do not matter. Only actions do. The last month of my life was spent in Afghanistan, various countries providing asylum, in Washington, D.C. All of these places are places I did not expect to be 4 weeks ago, but now I'm in the midst of a large effort called Save Our Allies to save as many Americans, green card holders, and SIV Afghans, meaning people who served our country for at least 4 years, as possible. I'm not here to talk about that. You know the story. But what I have reflected on is that for the 10 days that I was actively working overseas, I didn't care about what the world thought about anything. I was too busy doing. I was too busy trying my best at something that was important to me. I touched the internet a little, but spent no time really absorbing much of anything. The pundits, the trolls, and the political intelligentsia didn't matter. As bad as the situation was, the positive mental outlook was front and center. I had a job to do. I spend most of my life in the do world. That's why I'm able to get a lot of things done that seem like full-time jobs to most people. And I surround myself with people who are the same way. But after a couple weeks back in the US, with less urgency hanging over my head, I've found that I do get sucked into the nonsense. Just this week, I've been called a traitor for helping refugees. I've had my friend Tim Kennedy called names for his trip to Afghanistan, where he literally put his life on the line for other people over and over again, and was told that I do not care about our own veterans, only my globalist aspirations. Ah yes, me, the well-known open borders, large government, and even larger taxes guy. For those of you who didn't pick up on it, that was sarcasm. And I spend some time replying to those people, sticking up for Tim, challenging their assertions, and I'm sure I will in the future because I'm not perfect. But they really don't matter. This diatribe I'm sharing doesn't matter. Only what you do matters. If you think I'm trash for helping Afghans, fight the mission, get involved, go to DC, donate time, donate money. If you don't do those things, you really don't care. You're just a whiner. The same is true for any issue: politics, economics, the environment. My argument here isn't that you shouldn't have opinions or that you can't espouse them. It's that you should minimize the time that you're doing so on items that really don't matter to you, because you can easily get sucked into a world of wasted time, and time is the only resource that you can never get back. Figure out what you care about and get to it. Do something about it. And if you're not sure if you care, just ask yourself, am I willing to commit my time or my money to it? If not, then keep on walking or scrolling by. It's a waste of your time to even comment. We have enough people talking. They literally get paid not to inform, but to incite, to create problems. Just don't be one of them. Go do something. You'll feel good about it.
The Biden administration is seeking a contractor to house personnel in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, as Haitian migrants flood the border. Amidst criticism from Democrats and the resignation of the special envoy to Haiti, the president has assured the public that the contractor is not being put in place to house Haitian migrants, even though we have placed Haitian migrants there before. He then coughed, stomped his foot, and winked.
Taliban religious policeman Mullah Nuruddin Torabi announced this week that the practice of executions and amputations as punishment would resume. He dismissed backlash at the statement, saying that no one else would be dictating how the Taliban rule their country. The people of Afghanistan aren't thrilled at the prospect, but a number that were interviewed did begrudgingly admit that the streets have had less crime since the Taliban filled the power vacuum. Torabi did state that the Taliban will now allow people to watch TV, listen to music, and use social media, something that in the past people would have been punished for using. He said it's a necessity for people these days, and he accepts that. And he sees it as a way to spread the Taliban beliefs to millions across the world instead of just hundreds without it. What a gem. Still, he does talisplain on Talibaning theft and murder unless it's done by him. What could go wrong?
In the wake of recent laws in Texas surrounding abortion, voting rights, and conservation, Chicago has launched a marketing campaign focused on recruiting Texans to Chicago, where they have more progressive policies. Thus far, the campaign has not delivered the desired results. Beverly Smith of Austin, Texas had to say this: "I'd like to leave, but the thing is, Austin is really nice, and Chicago has terrible pizza, terrible weather, and a whole lot of murder, plus huge state taxes, so I'ma stay."
Just when you thought you could go back to wiping your ass with an entire roll of toilet paper every time you take a dump, think again. I know we've been in quarantine over a year, wiping our with one sheet of one ply at a time, but it looks like it's going to be a while before we are TPing other people's houses or dressing up like mummies. Some big chain stores like Target and Costco are putting limits on how many of these items you can buy due to a rise in cases of the COVID Delta variant. Now this variant, along with the OG COVID, doesn't give you unforgivable diarrhea. I don't even think a stomach ache is on the list of symptoms, but man, people are really scared to catch some sort of COVID and shit their pants. Costco CFO said the limitations have been brought on by COVID disruptions, port delays, and container shortages, along with rising cases of the Delta variant across the world. We don't want to induce panic buying here at BNN, but if you don't get any toilet paper today, there's a chance you will never wipe your ass again. So fix your bayonets and run into your local bulk purchase institution of choice and get your butt napkins.
In recent Don't Touch Me news, Chris Cuomo, Governor Cuomo's brother, is accused of sexually harassing a female producer while at a farewell ABC News party in Cuomo's honor. Producer Shelley Ross wrote that, "I was at a party with my husband who sat behind me on an ottoman sipping his Diet Coke as I spoke with work friends. When Mr. Cuomo entered the Upper West Side bar, he walked toward me and greeted me with a strong bear hug while lowering one hand and firmly grabbing my buttocks." Ross said Cuomo told her, "I can do this now that you're no longer my boss," and did it with kind of a cocky arrogance. She pushed him away and quickly left the party with her husband. Soon after, Cuomo asked for Ross to pass along an apology to her husband for the incident. "I apologize to you as well," he said, "for even putting you in such a position." Earlier this year, Chris Cuomo participated in strategy calls with Governor Cuomo's top aides on how to address harassment charges levied against his brother. Chris Cuomo, who had stated time and time again how deeply he has cared about the issues of sexual assault at CNN, is now looking like a real hypocrite and quite expert on how to dodge such charges. CNN has yet to make any definitive statement about the surface story of one of their primetime top hosts. All in all, this is a terrible travesty. I mean, what kind of a man in their right state of mind sips Diet Coke at a party? We wish Shelley Ross's husband all the best in finding a suitable drink for festive occasions.
The border crisis is reaching a new peak, and according to reports, both sides of the aisle are blaming Biden. Which, while yes, he is the president, I can't help but wonder what happened to the whole Kamala is going to tackle the border crisis hoopla just a number of months ago. In fact, she's been pretty under the radar while the heat on Biden has been slowly turning up. Could it be that the Democrats have pulled her out of the spotlight so that people forget about her until it's time to magically replace Biden? Survey says yes. But I digress. This week, the Biden administration has come under heavy fire after a picture was released that the press said was a Border Patrol agent on a horse whipping a black man. This was false. Mainstream media are garbage human beings. The picture was of a Border Patrol agent attempting to corral one of many illegal immigrants making a break for the U.S. But apparently the Biden administration hates horses, so they've decided to take horses away. A straight jabroni move. In this situation, horses are a force multiplier, and they've aided an overwhelmed and understaffed Border Patrol in keeping the border secure. Well, now they don't have that. They just have to chase people on foot. People have also accused Biden of treating Haitian immigrants different from Afghan immigrants. But perhaps the most red-wedding moment so far has been fellow Democrats accusing Biden of being no different than Trump. But while all this realization that Democrats are just shitty politicians as well is happening, so far nothing is being done about the border crisis. No solutions are being presented by the president or the party, who continues to avoid questions and press conferences altogether. Well, at least there aren't any more kids in cages. Oh wait, what's that? They're at even larger capacity than they were under the Trump administration? How come no one cares anymore?
Just in case you haven't heard, but I'm not sure how you couldn't have, there's a Netflix-style murder mystery going down that has all the white girls and their pumpkin spice lattes at the edge of their seats. In early June, Gabby Petito and her boyfriend Brian Laundrie headed out to explore the Wild West of the American frontier. During the trip, Gabby kept in regular contact with her family and was also posting daily on her YouTube blog about her adventures. On August 12th, police called to a scene of a domestic disturbance where they found Brian, covered in scratches with clear signs that he had been in an altercation. Both Brian and Gabby told police that they loved each other and were engaged to be married, but were just emotional and confused, which is still a weird excuse to beat the shit out of your spouse, but whatever. Police chalked it up as to a mental health issue instead of a domestic abuse case and told the couple to chill out and take a breather for the night separated. On August 30th, Gabby's family would receive the last text message from her phone that read, "No service in Yosemite," which they doubt was actually sent by her. On September 11th, after not being able to get in contact with Gabby, her family reported her as a missing person. Naturally, police went to talk to Brian as to her whereabouts, but instead of having a normal conversation that would have helped prove his innocence, Brian had his parents open the door and tell the police that if they had any questions, they could be directed to Brian's lawyer. If there is a way to look any more guilty than not helping the police search for a missing girl that you were in love with and engaged to, I don't know what is. Maybe showing up to the door and throwing your voice under the corner while you're trying to sound like a female might be worse. "Hey sir, is your girlfriend home?"
"I can't come to the door right now, honey, but I love you. You sure are handsome, protecting, and well endowed."
Well, everything seems fine here, Jensen. Let's head out. On September 19th, human remains were discovered in Teton County, Wyoming, that are later identified as most likely Gabby Petito. In the days before the discovery, Gabby's family, as well as police, were asking Brian's family to cooperate with the investigation, and if they had been withholding any information about their son. 2 days before the body was found, Brian's family called the FBI to their home and said they hadn't seen their son in 2 days. Information that may have helped 2 days earlier, given Brian just enough time to get out of Dodge. Currently, Brian is still on the loose, with millions of people keeping their eyes on the news to see what happens next.
The new head of the knockoff version of Me Too, called Time's Up, is calling for a revitalization and openness campaign after their former head, Tina Chen, resigned. Chen was publicly outed after it was revealed that Time's Up was advising Cuomo and his administration on how to counter numerous accusations of sexual assault and misconduct. The new leader of Time's Up, Monifa Bandel, has announced changes to the organization. For example, they're not going to help known sex offenders from getting out of sexual offenses. And finally, in Florida Man news, a Florida man this week stole a car from a used car lot. He was not caught. He got away with it scot-free. Until he decided to change his clothes, return to the scene of the crime, and try to sell the same goddamn car back to the same goddamn dealership. Oh God, I love you, Florida man. Naturally, when they ran the VIN number, because the car looked familiar, they found that it was in fact the car that was stolen from them. Cameras, of course, tied the man back to it, and voila! He was arrested. Florida man, you inspire me, you keep me trying to live my best life, and I salute you. And with that, I'm Nick Palmisano.
And I'm Thomas Hunt.
And this is the Bad News Network. Our news is at least as bad as the news you're getting already, and I hope you have a stellar weekend. As always, you can get 25% off at rangerup.com when you use the code BNN. We've got some great new whiskey glasses in stock, so you should check them out. And of course, you can go to Nick and Matt on OnlyFans for really middling content from time to time.